So, today we're diving into something that feels like a really pivotal moment for Cardano's future. It's the creation of a brand new governance group called the Cardano Curia. We're going to break down exactly why it was formed, what its game plan is, and why it might just be a game changer for the whole ecosystem. Let's get right into it.
Any successful project eventually hits this fork in the road, this critical choice. And for Cardano, that moment is happening right now. The big question on everyone's mind is, will its governance structure fuel the next wave of growth? Or is it going to become a bottleneck, a source of gridlock that slows everything down at the worst possible time? And the heart of that potential gridlock, well, it really boils down to one single number: 6. That's it. Just 6 active Constitutional Committee members are responsible for overseeing this massive, rapidly growing global ecosystem. That is a huge amount of responsibility resting on just a handful of shoulders. And the timing here is just so critical. This isn't happening during some quiet downtime for Cardano. The ecosystem is in what you could call a decisive phase. We're seeing more institutional interest, the infrastructure is getting more mature, and that means the decisions being made are getting bigger and the workflows are getting a lot more complex. So this all leads us to Cardano's core governance challenge right now, a potential bottleneck. With so few people at the wheel, the whole system is under some serious strain, and this is happening at the exact moment when reliability and professionalism are needed most to handle all this new growth. But, one of the amazing things about decentralized communities is that when challenges pop up, solutions often come from within the community itself. And that brings us to the main event of this explainer, the Cardano Curia. It's a group that's stepping up to offer a solution of interim stewardship. Okay, so what is the Cardano Curia exactly? Well, in their own words, they're an interim independent group. The best way to think of them is like volunteer guardians for the Cardano Constitution. They're stepping in to make sure governance stays stable and, most importantly, aligned with the community's values during this really critical period of growth. And this quote right here just perfectly captures their whole mindset. It's from their founding principles, and it's so important. We see ourselves as temporary custodians. This is not a power grab. It's not a permanent takeover. The entire thing is framed as a temporary, service-oriented role to help the ecosystem get through a tricky phase. And hey, this isn't some anonymous, faceless group either. The Curia is made up of known, experienced contributors. We're talking about people like James Meidinger, Madeline Lamasific, Sheldon Hunt, Ian McCullough, and Christian Kowalski. By putting their actual names out there, these individuals are adding a really powerful layer of personal accountability and credibility to the whole initiative. Okay, so we know who they are and we know why they formed. But what's actually going to guide their actions? How do we know they'll stay on the right path? Well, that brings us to the foundation of their entire operation, the Curia's core values. Their entire philosophy, their whole operational playbook, is built on the 5 core values we're about to walk through. These principles are really designed to make sure their actions are predictable, principled, and always in service of the Cardano community. First up, and this is really the foundation of it all, integrity. This is a very clear promise to always put the long-term health of the entire Cardano ecosystem above any one person's gain or any group's narrow interests. Simple as that. Second is evidence-based judgment. What does that mean? Well, no gut feelings, no shooting from the hip. Every single decision has to be backed up by data, by what's happened before, and by solid, reasoned debate. This makes their decisions rigorous and, more importantly, totally defensible to the community. Third, they are all about inclusivity and diversity, and not just as a buzzword. They see it as a strategic advantage. The group was intentionally put together with people from different continents, different backgrounds, and different roles within the ecosystem, so they can better represent a truly global community. Now, this next one, this is absolutely essential for any project in the decentralized world: radical transparency. They are making a promise that every vote, every decision, and the full why behind it will be published and explained in plain, simple language that anyone can understand. And finally, number 5, community stewardship. This value really ties everything together. It brings us right back to that core idea we saw earlier. They see themselves as temporary caretakers, here to support decentralization, help manage risk, and at the end of the day, uphold the community's trust.
So, those are the principles. But principles are only as good as the plan to actually put them into action, right? And that brings us to their transparent plan, which is all about turning these values into concrete everyday practice. And they've been super specific about this. This isn't just some vague promise. They're going to publish the rationale for every single decision. They'll release summaries of their internal discussions. They'll maintain a public treasury address for complete financial visibility. And they'll deliver quarterly reports to the community. And this quote from their platform just nails it. It perfectly captures the goal of all these steps. The whole point is to make sure every single stakeholder, from a developer to a casual holder, can understand not just what was decided, but the far more important question of why it was decided. That is how you build real, lasting trust. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. We've gone over the who, the what, and the how. But let's talk about why this kind of stewardship really truly matters for the bigger picture, for the long-term future of Cardano. This slide just lays out the stakes perfectly. On the left, you've got the immediate dangers, the short-term risks they're trying to defend against, things like bad faith proposals sneaking through, innovation killing bottlenecks, and those constant pressures towards centralization. And on the right, you see the goal, the long-term health they're trying to build: stable, predictable governance, more confidence for builders, and a stronger, more reinforced, decentralized ethos for everyone. Which, of course, brings us to our final question. The Cardano Curia is a specific solution for a very specific challenge, but it also gives us a fascinating new model to look at, one of proactive, transparent, and temporary stewardship. So we'll leave you with this to think about. Is this a potential blueprint for the future of decentralized leadership? Could this be a new way for DAOs and other on-chain communities to navigate those tough growth phases without giving up on their core principles? It's a powerful idea, and one we'll all be watching very closely. Thanks for joining us.